Hello there, and welcome to iPad Pro's holiday special. Join us as usual for these fun kind of whatever I want to do at the year show topics. Is Matt? How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling festive. I just finished a glass of eggnog. I'm feeling great.
Lovely. I love eggnog. Did not learn about it until I was an adult, sadly, but as an adult,
Oh,
it's a wonderful beverage.
it's wonderful. You got to get the right stuff though. Some of it's too watered down. I want the stuff that you can like eat with a spoon if you wanted. Like,
Absolutely,
yeah,
yeah.
the thicker the better.
A couple of years ago, I would actually make my own eggnog, non-alcoholic. Back when I was just drinking raw eggs, and it was fine. It was great.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
honestly I don't even like the alcoholic one. Like it's just normal eggnog for me.
yeah,
The only way to
absolutely.
go.
Yeah. So in this episode, we are going to be. I was inspired by ATP earlier this year about their discussion on iPods and an anger of these hosts of that show that didn't own many of the iPods discussed. I wanted to have my own 2 cents and have a lot of thoughts with this one. If you look in the video version, I've got pretty much every iPod ever made, one form or another. Uh, my first gen shuffle is somewhere else in the house, sadly, but every other iPod, if you're on the video version, I will have on hand to have tactile feeling of what we're talking about.
To
And
prove
the recent,
your bona
yeah,
fides. You know what you're talking about.
yes, if you are interested in even more iPod stuff, iPod Evolution is still on the Apple Bookstore, a book I released in February of 2013,
Ooh.
back when the unofficial Apple weblog reviewed it back in the day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And by real people, not the AI
Yeah,
auto-generated
the
stuff that you
real
have
Steve
now.
Sandy, not the
Oh,
AI version. Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
Simpler times.
Simpler times. Yeah. And I've been rediscovering the iPod this year. I've been like powering them back up. And in that discovery, I discovered the second gen, the AirPod 2s are too new to work with the Nano. Like the Bluetooth spec of the original AirPod Pros, fine, but the AirPod Pros too, it's too advanced.
Mm.
Doesn't work with the PlayStation Vita. Doesn't work with the iPods.
Oh,
So all
really?
your old Bluetooth audio friendly devices, the AirPod Pro
Something,
2s
huh?
are too new for that, sadly.
Interesting.
So you have to get
I,
one of these fancy dongle things. This one and most dongles are actually not working with the AirPods Pro 2, so you have to find the right dongle. I found it that works with it. It's
you
quite the
know
scene
what? There's
out there.
something to be said for a headphone jack. It still works.
It really is. Yeah, yeah. So most of the time, I just use my wired headphones when enjoying the iPod world.
As they were meant to be used.
Yeah,
Iconic. You put a
they're
backlight behind you with a
iconic.
colorful
Yeah,
background. You dance as a silhouette with your headphones. It's
absolutely.
perfect.
Yeah,
Takes me
there
back.
there were many 30-pin Bluetooth adapters back in the days. Remember, and
Oh
they were
man.
all crap. That killed the iPod's battery like instantly.
We were just figuring it out back then. Wireless headphones, that
Yeah,
was very advanced.
the iPod was my first Apple product. As probably yours. No.
No, no.
Okay.
I grew up in a house with a Mac, so in
Oh, you're so spoiled.
'95
So
I
done.
had a
I was gonna say spoiled, but
yeah.
that's you're just lucky.
No, I mean, as a child, I hated having a Mac. This is not the topic of the conversation, but as
No,
someone
this would be
who
a 2 hour
mostly wanted a computer
tangent.
to play games, the Mac was horrible.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it got me
So
going on the right path.
it did, yeah. So trying to think what my first iPods were. I had the third gen Nano, the fatty, in red, which I still love this design. And we're gonna talk about them more in depth in a
Spoilers,
bit.
spoilers.
But this guy is a great iPod because it's basically a thin version of the classic. That's basically like how we say like the iPad Air and the iPad Mini. The Mini is the mini version of the Air. So it's basically that, where
Hmm.
this is the mini version of the classic
Yeah.
from 2007 and the final design of yeah. And yeah, this is a great iPod. So this that was 2007. 2006 was the Shuffle, the second gen Shuffle, and that was mine. I got to have the engraving still on mine that has my name on it. And I love this guy. Came with a little dock, and this is the one. This is that was my first shuffle as in a whatever 2006. I think that bought that with for my own money back in the day. That would have been high school, first year of college for me.
Hmm.
And then the iPod Photo. I'm looking up the year now, 2004. So that was my very first iPod. So that yeah, I still have. I'd say I don't. I think I have a not my own iPod for that one. I think I got rid of that at some point. But yeah, so those were my three iPods in its heyday. After I started collecting and buying stuff at non-discretion.
Yes. You know, I'm looking at this list. I think I've only owned 4 iPods in my life.
Okay.
I actually don't think I've owned most of these. I've had like siblings and family members who have had them, and so I've used most of these a little bit. But personally owned, I think only 3 or 4. Wow.
There were a lot of iPods. A lot of iPods.
Yeah. And I was young enough I wasn't buying a new thing every year. Like I drove it into the ground.
Yeah. I mean, those are the days like the iPods I have are well worn. Like this I did the invisible shield on this guy. It's still on there. You can kind of see some. It's got like some cracks of the invisible shield, but I feel weird taking it off. Like I don't know. I feel like it's got to stay on at this point.
I don't know.
And I have some memories of like siblings getting iPods before me, and like my older brother getting the original Nano in black, and that being such just an iconic product, but that also scratched right away. The front part, yeah.
We'll see how that affects its score.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, were there iPods in your family outside of your own usage?
Yeah, I mean, my first iPod was the original iPod. My dad got it for me and my brother for Christmas.
This guy.
Yeah, and I don't have it in my house right now. It's hopefully at my parents' house still somewhere, but yeah, it was like the only thing we got for Christmas. But it was great. He was so like proud of getting it for us, and we were very, very excited about it.
Yeah.
So was definitely there right from the beginning, before he even worked with Windows computers.
That's amazing. And yeah, very cool. That's one of my favorites, as we'll talk about.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, should we
You
get
just
into
wanna kick
the
it
ratings?
off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 2001.
So 2001, we have the first iPod. This is the original. It's called iPod Classic on this, but that's
Yeah.
retconned. But
Just iPod.
Just
It's got
iPod.
a different font on the back from even the next year later, which probably does not
Really?
affect its ranking. But I'm not sure if you can see the font differences there. It is a different
Oh, yeah.
typeset.
It's got the old serif font that Apple
Yeah.
used to use for all their stuff.
Yeah. That was the
Interesting.
one and only iPod to have. Yeah.
But yeah, 2001, 5 gigabytes of storage, 1,000 songs in your pocket. One of the greatest marketing lines of all time. One of the greatest product releases, most iconic product releases of all time. One of the most hated in forums when it was first announced because it was overpriced for what it got you, and a Rio was so much more cost efficient. And only worked with Macs. This was the only iPod. Firewire 400 on the top is where it would connect. The headphone jack was up there as well.
You can still sync this with modern Macs with a Firewire to Thunderbolt. There's like 4 dongles that I connect up, and they all it works. That daisy chaining works. There is like a $70 dongle you can buy between the 4 different connectors, and so you can sync the stuff. It still works. They still power up and run today, so that's cool.
Yep.
That longevity is there.
Physical click wheel, physical buttons around the click wheel.
And that physical wheel, it's never felt better than that original wheel. I'm not sure how long it's been since you've used this physical wheel, but it's funny. They're like, oh, it's more durable for them to go to a touch-sensitive wheel. I'm using this wheel. It feels great. 2001 was how many years ago? I mean, Uh, in theory, touch is more durable, but I mean, is it?
So I'm gonna suggest this is an A tier iPod,
Okay.
and I say that
S is the
because
maximum.
S is
Up.
yes, and we should say
Yeah.
all iPods are pretty good. Like
Yeah.
even a D tier iPod is a pretty good iPod.
D is the lowest in our tier
um,
system. Yeah.
so yeah, D is the lowest, but again, we're on a scale of they're all pretty decent. I think it's an A tier because it's an iconic product. It's a revolutionary product. It's a wonderful product, and people who had it loved it. But it didn't work on Windows, which made it worthless to most people in the world, and is maybe teasing what my first S tier iPod is. But I think it's not quite perfect
And
because
future generations
doesn't work.
would quadruple the storage, and like all the things that are great will get better over time.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, if it was just me, I'd probably put an S because the physical scroll wheel and just they just nailed it right out of the gate. This is like one of the best first generations outside of the Mac thing, which meant at the time I would not have been able to use it at all. But um, yeah, the dock connector, as we'll talk about, I think was a major breakthrough when that was added and refined over time. That original dock connector, not so great
Okay.
with the FireWire. It was like FireWire that you had like two connectors coming off that cable. That anyways, yeah, let's do A tier for this. Yeah.
Okay. A tier for this. We can move them around later if they don't feel right. So then we have the second gen classic, which came out a year later.
Yes. Looks identical, pretty much. It's
less than a year later.
Yeah, it's got a cover on the FireWire, so you don't get your dust in there, which is nice.
Okay. Physically,
outside-
this is basically the same outside of that. Is that right?
Yeah, basically the same. Storage-wise, we had a leap there.
So they went from 5 gigabytes to a 10 and 20
10.
gigabyte option.
Yep. And this is a 20. I got the 20 gigabyte model. I'm big here. Yeah.
Nice flex.
Yeah. But I love how they write the storage capacity on the iPods. Like it says 20 gigabytes, which I don't think they do that with iPads and iPhones anymore. That'd be
no.
You know? That'd be interesting. But yeah, every iPod, I'm pretty sure, at least the Nano, the Shuffles don't, but the Nano and
all the ones I have
storage. One thing I didn't point out, I just love about the original two iPods is this. There's a thin layer of plastic over the white.
Mm-hmm.
They did this with the original Nano as well, and you don't really notice it. It creates this little effect that's just like, I don't know, like a halo, like I don't know, just like it looks good. Like whoever thought of let's put this thin layer of clear plastic above the white, and it just looks great. Like it's this little touch that just other manufacturers I don't think would waste the money on.
So where does this one fit in our tier? Is this
It's weird because Windows was not added quite yet, right? That was
this one. I think this one did add Windows. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure this is the one that supported Windows.
Like I'm feeling A or B. Like
yes, this did add support for Windows, although iTunes wasn't there yet. Right. Interesting. So it's synced with Music Match and not iTunes. Interesting.
And Windows computers needed FireWire still.
Okay. I'd like to amend the first rating already.
Okay.
I would agree with you now. The first iPod is S tier, and this one is, oh boy.
They didn't.
It's maybe B tier.
They improved the storage, but they got rid of the nice physical wheel. They had not yet perfected, with the fourth generation. Like this is a nice wheel that's a better touch wheel. Like this touch wheel is less satisfying, I would say overall.
Yeah.
Still a great looking iPod, but
okay.
Yeah. So S tier for original.
S tier for original. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second
What,
gen,
B or A? What do you B?
I think it's B actually.
Yeah. Just because it's like they just continued on the great thing, adding the little cover to it, and
Yeah. I think adding Windows support is really important for it being successful long term. But
but
when I
it's still
look at
FireWire.
yeah, and when I look at it, I'm not. It's not a huge update outside of there are a few things, but yeah, not a super exciting iPod except for yeah, Windows users can use it. So okay, I'm okay with B tier. Then we get to a controversial one.
The worst iPod Apple ever made.
Oh, thank God! I was afraid we were going to
uh,
disagree on this one.
Anyone that thinks, those movies where they're like, anyone that thinks this way is wrong, and
Hmm.
that being a plot point where they're proved. No, in this case, this is actually true. There's no grounds where this travesty is put up as a good iPod.
Yeah,
So the only time this even looks halfway decent is when the backlight's on. Like, look at this thing. It looks terrible. The wheel is this small, horrible feeling wheel. Like
hmm
like just putting your fingers around it. It's got sharp, this thing has sharp edges as you rotate your finger around it. Like, what
yeah.
wheel has like
It's no
it's a
good. And those
circle?
those
No,
buttons are capacitive and
they're
like
capacitive.
they're just weird. They're in a weird orientation because there's four buttons, but normally you have
Mm-hmm.
like back, play,
You have to
pause, forward,
reach
and
pretty far over to go back and forward.
they never did it again.
No,
They
they never did
immediately
again.
moved on to other designs because this one sucked.
Yeah, the third gen of iPods, including my book, they always do something that never sticks quite right. The
Hmm.
third gen Shuffle was the weird one. The headphone only
Oh,
controls.
interesting.
The
Yep.
third gen Nano was that fat one that we both love, but the rest of the world hated. The third gen Classic is this travesty. Yeah, third gens were cursed for iPods at least. This is a
Okay.
D tier,
Absolute D
absolutely.
tier. This is the one I
Absolutely,
feel
it's
most confident
trash.
about.
Yeah,
So, in a way, their product is going from S tier to B tier to D tier over the first 3 years. It's really crashing and burning.
really is.
But we have the two greatest years, or at least the most populous years of iPod releases ever in 2004 and 2005. In
Yeah.
2005, we get 4 new iPods. It's wild.
What? Yeah. So yeah, the fourth gen had so many releases just in and of itself.
It really did. I have the original one. So this is the iPod. This is the first iPod I bought with my own money. I bought this with one of my first paychecks from a job I had in high school. Bought it
Okay.
before going to college. And I truly love this iPod. And I think it is the best version of the black and white screened iPods.
Oh, interesting.
And I think
Because after this they went color,
after
right?
this, they went color, like literally a
And
few
during this
months
generation
later.
they went color.
Yes. Um, but like for a black and white screened iPod with no photos, no videos, no nothing like that, just play my music, play my podcasts. I think this one is the most enjoyable to use of all of the ones we've talked about so far.
It capped out at
Um,
40 gigs, so we had a
40
nice
gigs. Yep.
storage bump from 20.
And people don't think about this today, but back then, like storage was at a premium. So like you could use your iPod as an external hard drive as well. So that extra storage
Mm-hmm.
was useful. You could plug it in and it would show up in iTunes to sync music and podcasts and everything. But it would also mount as a drive on your desktop.
Which I did all the time as well. Yeah,
and I would
that's
move
huge.
files with this. This was like my USB flash drive, basically.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. So I have a soft spot for this because it's my first iPod. So I know that makes me very biased on this one. I personally put this in S tier, but I recognize that is probably my
So
nostalgia
well,
talking.
we have the original iPod in S tier. I
We
feel
do.
the fourth gen, one of these variations should be S tier because so it introduced the dock connector. This thing transformed charging, syncing. You just pop it down in the dock, super easy. This would be a hallmark of every computer desk where you have an iPod dock to just pop it on. the iPhone had this dock connector, and
Yeah.
you know, it was
This dock connector is why people were so upset when they did Lightning, because they're like,
it,
oh, my
it was
dock
a great
connector stuff doesn't
connector
work
too.
anymore.
Like at
Yeah.
the time, like, and it was so easy to just pop it on. And it made clock radios like a huge widespread phenomenon where you know hotels still have this thing.
Mhm.
The click wheel is iconic in pretty perfect. Like this is a major improvement over your,
Yeah.
I'd say, even the original design, which I love the little four buttons around it, but having the little menu button on it and the up neck, like
Yeah.
just
And
navigation was that. Yeah, it felt great. There's no hard as I'm running my fingers across this. There's no hard
hmm
plastic hitting it like
hmm
it is on the third gen. Um, what else? Oh, what the heck is this thing up top, Matt? We got a little. I forget what that is.
I
There's
don't know what this is. I know exactly what you're looking at. It's a
yeah,
tiny little hole next to the headphone jack. It's a
right.
little
What is that? Is that
like
for some kind of accessibility thing? I don't know.
I have no idea what that. Honestly, not a clue.
And after the show, I'm gonna look that up, man. That's it got much. Well, it's not. It's got a nice thinness level compared to the original.
Yeah,
It's
thinner than the
probably
original
similar to
couple.
third.
hmm
But yeah, the question is, where does the black and white model go?
Yeah. So should we also bring up the iPod Photo, which is the fourth
Yeah.
gen color screen version?
Yeah, that's the
and
one I had. That's my very first iPod.
okay. And so this one, yeah, has all the things the normal fourth gen had, but a color screen. You could sync your photos to it and look at them on a very tiny screen. But again,
Which
people have to remember how
I
amazing that
had
was at the
so many
time.
good memories of looking at my photos here because,
Mhm.
like, man, I'm in high school and we got crappy photos anyway at this time.
That's true. We were taking them on our flip phones back then. Man.
Yeah,
And never getting them off them, basically. I don't know how you got them on your computer. That was like a challenge as well.
right.
But
Yeah,
yeah, so
I think Facebook was. I forget when that. It started to become a thing around then end of my high school.
yeah,
Era. So probably
2004
from
is when
Facebook
I
is probably
got
where I
in.
was
But it was
pulling
only
stuff down from.
anyway.
Anyways, but
So
yeah, I have the same nostalgic for this as my first iPod, and it's like they kind of nailed color out of the gate, where it's like the UI is like more
mhm.
pleasant. The games were
Yeah,
the originals had games.
they did.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know if the absolute original did. By the fourth gen, they certainly did.
yeah,
I forget if the
and they
first one
looked
did.
great in color.
hmm
Man, the fourth
So,
gens turned. Yeah, I mean, do we put the photo in the original mono? And we can't have too many S tiers. That'd be
we can't have too many S tiers. I don't think. I feel like if we have more than like 4 or 5 S tiers by the end of this, we've done something wrong.
because
we don't
we have
understand
the
the
other
concept.
categories as well, like shuffles and things. Which
True.
yeah.
So I we,
Hmm.
I think the photo is probably a better iPod. If I was to give someone both of them today, you'd probably want the color screen. You wouldn't
Now let me
like
look
the
at
black and
battery
white.
life between the two here. Oh, battery life, Matt. This will disappoint you somehow. I don't know how they did this. 12-hour. So battery life / charge time. 12-hour battery life, 4-hour charge time on the 2004 original. 15 hours on the photo. Is it a thicker iPod? I don't know. It's got 3-hour more battery life on the photo.
Interesting.
So that's because you'd think black and white wouldn't have the better battery life, but no.
Yeah. And there's more storage on the photo one. And it came out quick. The fourth gen came out in July of 2004, and the photo came out in October. So only 3 months later. That's actually insane.
It was so weird they didn't come at the same time. Did this replace that one?
I think it did.
They live side by side?
I don't remember exactly,
Yeah. It's so bizarre.
but it was probably like $100 more.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
So, okay. My instinct right now, and you can tell me if I'm crazy. We put the photo in A tier, and the classic in B tier.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. Again, we'll see at
It
the
was
end.
so close to that original where another leap is color. Like that was like a selling point, and that's why I ended up with the photo. It's like, oh, the first color iPod. It's like, sure, yeah, and it had all the other improvements. Yeah.
Okay. But
that year had a lot of things.
it did.
It had this guy too, the Mini.
So this, I believe, and I'm not looking at the numbers now, but I'm pretty sure that the iPod Mini is the one that really started to launch the iPod through the stratosphere in sales. Partially because it was cheap, partially because it was cute, but like this one was very, very popular. I've got one right here.
My sister had one, the same color, the blue one. Yeah.
And so
it's a very popular model. I don't have the connection with it as much. Like, because the Nano is just so much better, as we'll talk about. This feels great in your hand. It's like rotating this in your hands, nice and curved. Like it does feel good. It's got good hand feel.
The bezels seem huge on this screen. Like it, for whatever reason, the screen seems very tiny in this frame to me. And I think storage is also a challenge with this because the 4th gen and the photo, that was 20 gigs and 40 gigs, and the photo was 30 and 60 gigs. This one had 4 gigabytes of storage, and that's it. So it's 1/10, less than 1/10 the storage of what you can get in a normal sized iPod.
Get this, Matt. The battery life improvements from 1st gen to 2nd gen Mini went from 8 hours to 18 hours in a single gen. I don't know what they were doing with battery.
That's crazy.
Isn't that nuts for the 2nd gen?
That is crazy. Wow. Okay.
I feel like B tier is a solid place for this guy.
For the 1st gen Mini?
Yeah.
Okay.
And even maybe the 2nd gen. I don't know. They're just solid B. I don't know. Are they both just solid like B tiers where they're I know they're very important for like adoption. This is like the iPod that sold gangbusters, but does that make it a great iPod?
I mean, as evidenced by the first Windows one we have here, it makes it a B tier iPod.
That's right.
If it's not remarkable in other ways.
If it's a solid,
Okay. I do think the 2nd gen with double the battery life is definitely notable. And it had a 6 gig option, but it was still 4 gigabytes. Yeah, let's put it side by side, just average iPods. I think that's okay.
Yeah. And this is where colors were introduced. That's a big deal for iPods. Colors sell things, and that helped quite a bit.
They do, but never on the Pros.
Never on the Pros. No.
So going back to the Pro iPod line, we have the Classic in 2005. This was iPod with video was the official name. It's technically the 5th gen Classic, but yeah, this the design changed. They have kind of a flat front this time. So it's got kind of harsher edges, but rounded on the back still.
Yeah, I've got the U2 version here. This is the 5th gen. Yeah, this is the 5th gen one. Which the U2 one came out with the 4th gen as well. That's another thing that happened that generation.
Yes, another.
We're not rating the U2 version, but I am a fan of the red and black. I think it's a very good look.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool look.
Yeah,
there's apparently a Harry Potter one as well for the 4th gen. There were so many 4th gen.
Was there a Beatle thing at some point that was limited edition? I forget. If
I wouldn't be surprised.
But the 5th gen, solid improvements overall. This was a very a lot of good refinements. It was thinner, much bigger display, but it didn't have the 4th gen was such a breakthrough product in my mind. These were a bunch of refinements on an already great thing.
I think that to me the 5th gen it's let down. It looks like it has slightly worse battery potentially, unless you got the 60 gig model.
Interesting.
It's minor, I guess.
I don't like audio battery life. I must note, original model doesn't. No, never mind. I'm looking at the wrong. Never mind. Go on. I was looking at the nanos.
I think this is a fine iPod. I don't really like the flat front though. I do like the curved on all corners style that the 4th gen had, and as we'll see, the 6th gen has. So and with very few improvements in terms of what you can actually do with it, like playing video, I guess was cool. This was
the Office was the. I was gonna say, I did play it. I bought. Yeah, I think I probably still own some TV shows that never got updated and are still that low resolution thing. And the funny thing about these iPods too these days, trying to play video on iPods, you have to like re-encode your video to something super low resolution because stuff you buy in iTunes today will not
Will
sync
not
over.
work. No.
No.
It's not tuned for 4K video.
Not exactly. And there's a 5.5. There's like a 5.5 generations we'll talk about, maybe.
Okay.
There was a 2006 iPod that was like not a 6th generation.
Oh, there was.
It
Same
was
base.
storage bump, I think.
Okay.
Maximum storage. I don't know what else changed.
Yeah, the first one was 30 and 60 gigs, and the revision was 30 and 80 gigs options.
Yeah, which we may not. We'll not probably rank that, but it did exist.
So, I
This is a B tier.
was
Yeah.
I think maybe it's a B tier, and I'd like to make a proposal.
The B is getting big.
I wonder if the first gen mini is a C tier.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
And then we keep the 2nd gen there because of the battery life improvements.
I think battery life and battery life
more
especially.
Colors, maybe. I don't know what they
More colors. Yeah, I feel a little better about separating those.
Yeah, we need some C's.
Yeah. Okay. Now we get to the first Nano.
Yeah.
2005. Again, still in 2005, our third iPod release of the year. I don't know what order they were in, but the iPod Nano, first gen, black and white.
Out of that jeans pocket.
Out of the coin pocket.
The coin pocket. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
iconic.
Yeah. Tall device. Like the mini, but way thinner.
Way thinner.
Similar in style to the classic iPods with kind of the, I think, metal back. Was it still a metal back for those first ones?
Metal shiny.
Metal back, but the plasticky, glossy front.
Yeah.
Click wheel, the good one that they adopted the 4th gen and never changed, basically.
Never changed. Yeah. People complain about scratching, but I mean, look at this is something I bought off of eBay. It's got some scratches. Doesn't affect usability at all. You're not watching video on this thing either. So it does scratch both front and back, but I don't care. iPods scratch. They're well loved or whatever you want to call it. And after this, the Nano, it's a fun product line because they just experiment with the Nano. But man, do I love that original Nano. Something about that. It's
It starts at 1 gigabyte of storage.
Yeah, I got the 2 gigabyte model here.
So you had 400 songs in your pocket. So we're less. Even the highest end, the 4 gigabyte model, had less storage than the original iPod
SSD,
4 years before that.
Man. This was
state. Yeah, true. Time, right? You're right. This was the first iPod with an SSD, or flash storage at least. I don't know if that's technically an SSD, but yeah.
Right.
I did have one. Someone in the family had this one, so I'm familiar with it. And the thinness was very impressive. I mean that was just really it, and that was really cool. But I don't really have a good feel for where to put this. I feel like maybe A tier, but you have more experience with it, so I'm curious what you think.
With A. I think the Nano would go on to become the most popular product line for iPods ever. I would say. I'd say A tier.
A tier.
And that original one, there's something special about it.
Yeah.
There really was. The black and white, then they moved on the color.
Mm-hmm. There were a couple of years there where Apple was just announcing products by pulling them out of small things that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
The MacBook Air as well.
The MacBook Air, yeah.
Envelope.
But it was, they nailed, just like the original iPod, they nailed this one.
Yeah, I like this. Okay. This is a good rating.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And then our final iPod release of 2005, the iPod Shuffle.
I freaking love this iPod, man.
Okay, sell me on this iPod. Why is this iPod so good?
This thing, it's a freaking flash drive. You just pop it into the side of your computer. You don't need a dock. You don't need a cable, which you often forget. As you told us earlier, you use your iPod as hard drives. And this is just, you go to the computer lab. You got your iPod Shuffle. You got a little bit of storage. You can, bring your Word document over with you. It had a fun, vibrant accessory ecosystem. They had lanyard headphones you could buy. They had fun exercise cases. It came with this thing you could wear it around your neck, which I did sometimes. This had the best DAC of any iPod ever made. So the audio quality you get out of this iPod is superior
Oh
to
yeah,
every
I've heard
iPod
this.
ever.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it looks just like great. It's a little remote control in your hand, pretty much. Like it
Mm-hmm.
felt great to navigate, and I love the concept of shuffling. Like I own
I love the
I own
concept of
probably
shuffling.
no, I own like 20. Like they're so cheap that I own like I don't know, probably 20, 10 to 15 different shuffles. And the cool thing is like you just like let me this shuffle is this is the John Williams shuffle or whatever. You just like
Mm.
yeah, they're so cheap. You could just have different shuffles with different music sets and like
Okay.
um I do love the shuffle concept, either going forward or just doing a straight out shuffle.
I do, yeah. So I'm not a shuffle guy.
Oh,
I
there's also they released a battery. You have a AA battery pack accessory. Apple released a first party battery pack for that original
I
shuffle.
had no idea.
The accessory ecosystem is just spot on for this one,
Hmm.
that original one.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah,
So I'm looking at the storage, and you had two options: 512
yep,
megabytes.
megabytes,
So
yeah.
the storage keeps going down, or 1 gigabyte.
But this thing was
Um,
super cheap too,
yeah.
right?
Well, and like I'm looking at 1 gigabyte right now, and I'm like, that's nothing. But I do remember when I was a sophomore in college that I had one of my friends got a 1 gigabyte flash drive, and we all thought it was the coolest thing ever. It cost him like $120.
Yeah. They also re-encoded your music to fit more storage, right? Fit more songs.
Oh, maybe they
They would
did.
do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think they would convert them to like M4As or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know, but
this little sucker had a 12-hour battery life.
mhm. All right. I'm going to
I
defer
mean,
to you on this one.
this is S tier. For me, this would be an S tier model.
Okay. We're putting it in the S tier.
Absolutely.
God help me if all four shuffles are S tier, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay.
Oh man.
So
Shuffles are so good, yeah.
first gens are great. Third gens are cursed. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We haven't
Yeah.
gotten the mini never got a third gen. We'll get one
It
though.
never did.
So okay, the Nano, second generation, 2006, just a year after the first one.
Yeah.
This one brought colors, an
Curved,
aluminum design.
nice and curved on the sides.
Mm-hmm.
Was Product Red introduced with this iPod?
Product Red was a month later.
Okay.
So it came out in September. Product Red came out in October. This came in 2, 4, and 8 gigabyte variants.
Yeah.
If you wanted
got
the black
8
one,
gigabyte model here, the big boy.
nice. Is it black?
Oh no, this is the Product Red one I have here.
Oh, Product Red is 8 gigs. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
These spec
And,
sheets are very complicated.
Oh, this is funny. Mine is engraved. I got the second hand. My life goes on in endless song. It's a nice, classy engravement.
Nice.
I must say. I didn't even realize that was engraved until I just looked there. More durable, less scratch prone is the thing. Aluminum feels good. Nice curved.
Looks like the same
But
screen. Doubled the
it's
battery
basically-
life.
Yeah,
That's
I mean
nice.
it's basically the materials refresh. I would
Mhm.
say, right?
Yeah. So again, I'm going to defer to you on this one since you owned it and I didn't. I liked the construction of this one more than the original. But I don't know. It felt really thin and kind of the curved edges. I'm going to say this every time.
And the
iPod with a
colors
curved
look
edge.
so good on this one.
They were good.
They were good. Like I don't know if this is A tier and the original becomes B tier. I don't know if we swap them.
Oh, do you think this is better than the original?
I mean, maybe.
I
love that original.
The original has wow factor. Like,
It
oh my
does.
god.
I think we leave the original just because it is that wow factor.
Yeah. Okay.
I
You think
say
this is
B.
A tier as well? Or B?
Let's go A. We have got a lot of B's, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
A tier.
Yeah. Let's do A tier.
Okay. Nano's off to a good start. The first one not to drop. No. The mini got better and then died.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the shuffle. The
Oh,
second generation
this
shuffle just a year
thing.
later.
Oh man, I love the shuffle.
Complete redesign.
Complete redesign.
No longer a lanyard you wear around your neck. Now it's
It's a clip.
a lapel mic you clip to your shirt.
And this is their best clip design they ever did. Because as you can see, you can easily, with one hand, clip it open.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the later clip, the fourth gen, I've got it here. It's very difficult to open that clip because it's a
And
square.
not touch a
This
button while you do it too.
and not touch a button. That
Yeah.
happened all the time with the fourth gen. You're touching a button as you're trying to clip this thing.
Mm-hmm.
This one's got a place for your finger to go
Mm-hmm.
to clip. And the colors were spot on. The dock was so cute. You just left at your desk this little iPod
yeah,
dock with
that's
the
right.
headphone jack.
Is this the first one that came with that tiny little like headphone jack?
Yeah,
Little
that
wire
it's
that's like
synced over
3 inches
headphone.
long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's synced over headphone with a little dock. So
Mm-hmm.
you got a dock. You just pop
That's
it down.
right.
So adorable. The dock. I love the dock for that guy. Came in all these great colors. You got a product red one that's very beautiful. I like red as color, if you can't tell. Yeah, I would go this year again.
Okay.
The third and fourth gen I would not go S tier. I think
Okay.
I think the second gen is the best shuffle out. Like the first and
Okay.
second are coin tosses, which one I like better
Mhm.
on a given day. But yeah, these
Yeah.
first two were just special. Something about
Okay.
them.
So with that disclaimer out of the way, I'm comfortable putting in an S tier.
Yeah.
I was worried
So
we're gonna have a
they do not
sweep
stay S tier after
of
this.
S tier shuffles.
Yes.
But I would agree with you. This is my favorite shuffle. Again, I'm not a shuffle fan. I'm more of a album fan. Just play it in order and
Sure.
really choose. But as far as shuffles go, I really like the second gen. I like the clip. I like you said, that there's space for your finger to kind of hold it without touching anything. I like the colors. I like the just design of it, being able to clip it wherever you want.
It's
Throw it in your
fun how
pocket
they
if you
hide the
want,
serial
like,
number
whatever.
under the clip.
Oh, do they? Of course they do.
Yeah, it's right. You go and clip it. It's right there. Yep.
Okay, so S tier.
Yeah.
Now,
No, it's great iPod. That little dock, so great.
all right, we've reached the end of the line for the iPod Classic. They bring back the generation naming. It's the 6th gen Classic. Well, I guess this is the first time they called it Classic. Anyway, everyone knows what it is. It's a 6th gen Classic.
They're like it's aging out.
Yes,
So here's
this is
the
basically
classic.
their off into the sunset.
The
They sold this
final
for many
design.
years.
They would
after
reiterate on this, make it thicker and thinner, add less and more storage. This is the
Yep.
160 gigabyte model here.
So that's
Nice
the
and
final
shiny
revision.
still.
Yep.
Man, this is a sick iPod.
So
Wow.
released in 2007 with 80 and 60 gigabyte storage options, which were huge numbers.
Yeah. This is
They-
what DJs would go on to buy for years, and
Yes.
eBay became a very big market for this thing because people
Yep.
wanted this thing after it was discontinued.
Yep. 120 gigs in the next revision a year later, and then finally in 2009, the last version with 160 gigs, 36 hours of audio playback battery life, and this is maybe my controversial pick. This is an S tier iPod as well.
I completely agree. This is the perfect.
Oh, thank
This is
God.
the perfect iPod.
I'm so glad we agree on
Tons of
these.
storage, great battery life, nice and thin. Aluminum feels great. It's not
yeah.
rounded like you love, but the click wheel's great. Nice
It's more
big
rounded though.
screen.
It's more rounded than the video one, the 5th.
It
gen.
is, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so for me, that's really, really good. The aluminum design is
No
more
more
durable,
white.
very light.
So
Yes.
when we moved to aluminum, it went from silver from the classic white, which is
Mhm.
kind of sad. But the
A little
black one
sad,
still
but
did you
yeah.
like the silver or the white or the black one for this one?
I like the black one for this one.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's the ultimate iPod, and the fact that they just revved it with more and more storage just
Mhm.
made me so happy. And it's the perfect version of that type of iPod. It's like,
Yeah.
it's what I think about this line from Johnny Ive when he announced the iPhone 8, which was a tough announcement the same year as the iPhone 10. But he said like this was the ultimate version or the final version or like the manifestation of like everything that this iPhone design has been building to this, and this is the perfect idyllic version of it. And I think that's what the 6th gen Classic is. It's just so perfect. So
yeah. No.
I think it's S tier. I think it's incredible.
interestingly, weight-wise, it's almost the lightest iPod Classic 2. It started at 6.5 ounces and 4.9 ounces is where like the aluminum models are lighter than the plastic ones, which is just fun to realize. Because, plastic you'd think is light, but there's other components in there, obviously.
Yeah, I guess so.
And they got thinner and all that, so. So yeah, S tier. Absolutely.
S tier. Okay. Brings us to the 3rd gen Nano. The third cursed generation.
Yeah. Which we are both suckers to this guy. I've got 3 of them here.
I might have expressed too much excitement with just finding it.
Sure.
I think this one, actually, I do think this one is pretty good. They
it
obviously
feels good in your hand. Like the wide, well, it's not super curved, but like it I don't know. Like there's something to be said for a nice square versus the tall design. The UI can spread out more with it being tall. Like it has the full classic, the same design, the same UI you get with the 2007 Classic is what you get here. Works much better for video because it's not quite. Yeah, works much better for video.
Yeah, I think was this the first one that added video? Because I don't think the first two did it.
It did, yeah. For the Nanos, it did, yeah.
I think this one is fine. I think it lacks the wow factor of the first one
because it looks big, even though it's not.
Yeah, it's very thin, like incredibly thin. And the UI and the screen I think is bigger, and and like you said, matches more closely the classic iPod UI, which is good.
This has a feat of engineering where it's like the headphone jack is like on a diagonal almost. I think this is the only iPod to do that, which is curious. Are you seeing that how it's like the side is like kind of diagonal a bit?
Yeah, it's a little strange.
It's a little strange. I mean, I'd be fine with B tier, even though I have a soft spot. Like this could be higher for me, but I think
I think B tier is.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the Nano is gonna
go places.
It's gonna go. Yes, it's gonna go places. Let's go B tier. I think your gut is right. That's probably a decent place for it.
Because we have to have room below that for other iPod Nanos that are less than good.
Yeah. So that was 2007.
Yeah.
An S tier classic, a B tier Nano, and no shuffle. Then we're into 2008. Only one iPod releases, as far as I can tell. I think maybe they were busy with an iPhone or something. I don't know. Maybe that was taking up their time.
Well, we had an iPod Classic revamp with different.
Oh, you're right. You're right. The revamp that was then. I think 2008 was also the Touch, the first iPod Touch, which we're not talking about.
Those are not iPods.
Okay, so the Nano, the 4th gen Nano. So this goes back to the vertical design, and this time the screen gets way bigger. Way bigger than the last Nano in the tall form factor.
Yeah. I'm trying to find which one.
I definitely don't have this one.
Does it have a camera? Or is that the next one?
It does not have it. The next one has a camera. So this was no camera.
Okay. So I can't find it either. I have the one with the camera here.
So this is...
But it's similar to this, but it's like taller. Yeah.
Yeah. This came in like 9 colors, including product red, 8 gigabytes, and 16 gigabytes variants. I think... I think
video was much better with the screen being much bigger.
Yeah, was the screen much bigger? I guess so.
Or maybe that was the next gen that got super big.
Because I think this was the first time they would say, like, you for video, hold it sideways, which was strange, but made sense. I'm leaning towards B on this one. I feel like it's good. Like we said at the start, like all these iPods are good. This one just doesn't stand out. It doesn't have like a special something to me.
Yeah, so even So third and fourth generations, look different. Display is the same. They just rotate
Okay.
it so it's 90 degrees
Ah,
to change the form factor. So
okay.
I believe it is. It yeah. So this is like if you take this iPod, the third gen, make it go this way. That's display.
That's it.
So I'm good with B
Okay.
tier because it's like people were angry that it was fat and we made it, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
a rectangle instead of a square.
Yeah.
So I'm good
Okay.
with B. Yeah, B's good.
Love it. And that's fine because the next year they've revved the Nano line again, the big money maker.
Yeah.
And this time the screen's even taller.
Here it is. This guy here.
Nice.
Big boy. This is a big screen. This looks just unproportionately big, but has utility with watching video on that sucker.
Yep. And it's got a shiny exterior instead of the brushed aluminum.
Yeah, very shiny. Still today. The shine holds up.
It's got a
It's got
camera.
a
Is that a good
beautiful
camera?
camera, flip cam
Beautiful camera.
competitor. Can do your nice flip cam videos. I should
Okay.
capture some videos with this thing. See how it goes. Even the original iPhone couldn't do video.
It's true, man.
um,
So
yeah, where do we put this thing was trying to do a lot.
it was trying.
With the
Yeah. Those.
camera,
Hmm.
it's doing so much.
I never had this one. I've never even seen one of these in person, so I
Oh,
don't have a
when did
strong
they? And
opinion
I'm
on
not sure when
this.
they introduced, but this iPod and many others, if you were using wired headphones, you could get FM radio out of it, which is a fun
Oh,
thing.
oh yeah. Jeez.
I don't know when that was introduced, though, if that was new to this or not.
Okay. So taller screen, new uh
Oh
new
yeah, the
materials
camera.
and a camera.
They added a microphone, a mono speaker, and FM radio was for the first time here. For the first time, an iPod could play music without headphones in this iPod. There was a speaker
Hmm.
that let you
Okay.
play. I gotta charge this sucker up and see what that's like. It's probably terrible, but yeah, the Apple Watch added the speaker playback finally, and the iPod Nano did it back then. A lot of things going on here. Yeah,
I really don't know where to put this one.
because they were trying stuff here. This was a bold. This was a bold iPod.
Yeah, in a world where like iPhone designs are pretty consistent and only change every few years, and even then kind of pretty minor, it is wild to see like every single generation changes
Big. Yeah,
in every product line. They never release the same
yeah.
one twice in a row.
And there was a voice memo app, so you could. I'm pretty sure there's a voice memo app. You could record just audio memos on this iPod as a thing before you had
Hmm.
your phone as a. What year was this iPod?
2009. So
Okay,
we're
so you
into
had
the
your
iPhone
phone.
generation.
Yeah, you're around. Yeah, so the phone's around at this point.
I'm so as we're going to talk about, I think with every Nano from here on out, they're starting to add things to it. They're starting to add phone-like things to the iPod,
Yeah,
and I don't know if that made it better in this case. I don't know if it
yeah,
made
I'm
it
not sure.
bad, right? Like
And
that
it
taller
also depends
screen
who you
is
are. If
good.
you're a kid who doesn't have a phone,
True,
it's helpful that this stuff's here. If you're in
true.
elementary school, kind of thing. But or how old are you when you get your first iPod? I don't know. Depends
I
on
have
the
no
family.
idea. Me, I was
Yeah.
14, 15, 15.
Yeah.
Um, I'm kind of leaning towards B tier again.
Yeah, B's a solid place for this, I
They're
think.
just really solid
It's just solid.
nanos.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think the B tier ride is over because also in 2009 we have the
Mhm.
third gen shuffle, which
Oh yeah.
I this one is insane. There's no buttons on it. There's no click
No.
wheel. There's
There's a
no play
hold
pause.
thing. There's nothing.
There's a whole yeah, you're right. There's a hold switch, not technically a button,
Yeah.
and a headphone jack, and that's it. So you could only control this with headphones that had the kind of thing on the wire to click, so you could
Yep.
pause, forward, back, and it had voice control, right?
Yeah, and they released a special edition that I still have in box and opened, stainless steel, just pure shininess all over. And that's probably my most valuable It goes for like almost $1,000 these days. It's a
Wow.
crazy valuable iPod. So I'm very happy I have that unopened still.
That's a
Um,
lot to pay for a D tier iPod.
I would agree this is D tier. Yeah, let's just put it there. I have a bunch of these little suckers, but yeah, headphone control only. I mean, it wins
Mhm.
points for being so tiny and small,
Sure, sure.
but needing those headphones, just like it was a bold idea. I'll give them that.
Absolutely.
Just like let's get rid of all modern Apple. If they were making this would be a gesture pad, right?
Yes.
With haptic maybe presses there. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, at the time they couldn't do that, but they could put a tiny flash card in this teeny tiny little thing.
It's so small.
10 hours of battery. They had 2 and 4 gigabyte variants. But yeah, it kind of sucked.
Cool colors. It kind of sucks. Yeah.
It wasn't good for using. It looks cool. It's a very
Looks
cool
cool.
engineering feat. Like it's a cool object. That stainless steel one is really cool, but like
Yeah.
not for listening to music.
No.
Which is kind of tough for it.
Might be a choking hazard for toddlers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this shuffle has killed more people than any other iPod easily.
Easily. Yeah.
Okay, so the third gen, really, the bottom row really representing third gen
Third
iPods.
gens. Yeah.
Then we have the 6th gen Nano in 2010.
Yeah. Come on.
And this is a touchscreen. It's a
touch
little
screen?
square, basically.
This is a Shuffle Pro, is what I would call this. It's got the clip like a shuffle.
Yeah.
Mine I can't clip because it's in this watch, the Lunatic.
Oh man,
this was the prototype Apple Watch.
that takes me back.
Yeah.
So touchscreen
there
loses
was even
the
a
camera.
mode to have like it go to the watch. Like Apple knew what they were doing. Like
oh really?
They had a mode of like making sure the watch face when you wake it up.
Interesting. Okay.
It's an interesting idea. Like let's do a shuffle, like the 4th gen shuffle, sort of form factor. Put a screen on it.
Mm-hmm.
Where does this go though? Like, I don't love this as an iPod, but it's cool.
So, and how is it to like? So I never had one of these either, but like, how is it to like scroll a list? Because like a lot of iPod uses scrolling lists
There's
of
no
artists
wheel.
or stuff. So you're, scrolling like you would on a phone.
Right.
But like, is it hard to do when your finger like covers the whole screen, or is it's fine? Like,
it was fine.
It was fine. Okay.
But yeah, I'd say the wheel is a nice thing to have in general.
Yeah. So the vibe I'm getting from you is C tier on this.
Yeah, let's go C. We
Okay.
don't have many C's. C is not bad. It's just not amazing.
Yeah. It's like we don't really know what to do with you.
It is like a Shuffle Pro,
Mm-hmm.
sort of, but part of the allure of the Shuffle is you don't need to navigate the UI.
Yeah, true. Okay. Also that year, a non-pro shuffle, the iPod Shuffle 4th gen.
Yes.
So this was, this one is very similar to the 2nd gen. They kind of went
Except
back to
worse.
that design.
It's shiny, not brushed.
And
you can't open this clip without hitting the back button.
And is that a problem?
That's a major problem. I did that all the time on accident. It's like, well, maybe I could get and this is, I think there's a button up top for voice control. I don't know what that button's for. There's a button up top.
Interesting.
That does
Okay.
something.
This came in one variant. It was only a 2 gigabyte version.
$49, right?
Yes. This was like the cheapest iPod.
Cheapest they got. Yeah.
So I think it's definitely better than the 3rd gen.
Yeah.
Because you can
I would
use
say
it.
I would put the C tier though.
You think C tier? Yeah.
Would you, right? I mean, for the price it could be B, but because it was such a downgrade from the S tier 2nd gen, like
I think this one's also suffering from, well, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's
the cute dock or anything like that.
Yeah.
You just plug it in the cable thing.
But this was coming out when smartphones were starting to get pretty mainstream. Like 2010, a lot of people were starting to get their first like touchscreen Android and iPhones. And like music playing was moving there, and like a shuffle. I don't know. I feel like it just wasn't as relevant.
I do love how it just has a nice Apple logo on the back. It's very clean. Nothing else is back there. Like, it'd be fun to just attach the clip and just have that little shiny Apple logo.
Yeah, I bet you could if you got aggressive enough with it without shattering it.
Yes.
But okay.
Yes.
C
yeah,
tier.
that's a good place for it.
Okay. So in 2011, we have the first year with no new traditional iPods. There was a touch that year, but no traditional iPods released in 2011. Pretty much the end of the road. So in 2012, we have our final iPod release. It's the 7th gen iPod Nano.
Got a lightning connector.
Lightning connector, a touchscreen again, but taller.
God, this is the mini iPhone.
It is a mini. This is baby's first iPhone. Yes.
Yeah, it's got iPhone OS, but not a facsimile of it.
Yeah.
It's got Bluetooth audio if you have older headphones, older Bluetooth.
Yes, not new Bluetooth headphones. No, but like 5 years old or more, maybe something like that.
Even AirPods, I think 3rd generation, like maybe even AirPods 4th generation. Like I think. Just
really?
I think the pros are doing more advanced stuff. Like most Bluetooth headphones would work with this still, just like
okay.
Which is that was a big thing, like as a thing. You didn't need wires anymore. This is such a weird one. It's very thin. This is such a thin device. When they this was in a marketing campaign, right? Because this previously was the thinnest thing before the iPad Pro. It's nice and curved. You like the curves.
Mm-hmm. It's a simple product line. There's just a 16 gigabyte model in many colors.
Man, yeah. I miss having wheels on iPods though. I mean,
yeah, no wheel is rough. It's got a like a straight up home button.
It's got a home button. Where do you want this? I have no strong feelings. I think it's not a terrible. I don't think it's as bad as people say it is, but it's not great.
I think so. If I look at, I think it's here's my challenge. I think it's better than than the 6th gen. I don't think it's as good as the 5th gen. I do think that scroll wheel is good. So I think it's B or C. I'm maybe feeling generous for B.
Yeah, let's do B.
B.
I think yeah. I mean, the Bluetooth is so nice as far as an iPod having.
Yeah. And for 2012, like I wasn't using Bluetooth headphones until like 2016 or something. Like it was a while. So, okay. Well, I'm happy we do have we have a good bell curve here.
The B, yeah, it's a good bell curve, right?
So our S tier iPods, the original shuffle, the 2nd gen shuffle,
oh yes,
and the classic, the 6th gen.
Yeah. No Nano made it up there.
No Nano. Yeah, we did the 1st and 2nd gen. We weren't so sure.
Do we need a Nano up there? Do we shift the 1st gen Nano up there and then the 2nd gen being A tier? I don't know. Or a different Nano to be A tier. Or are we happy? I am happy, but I wasn't sure if we needed an S tier shuffle or a Nano.
I don't think we need one. It is interesting. They really nailed it at first. Then they released a bunch of kind of good ones, but kind of not as good ones.
They had fun with the shuffle. The designers,
They did.
It was where they had fun. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So Nanos were pretty solid. Classics are all over the place. We have S tiers, we have D tiers, we have like everything in between. Yeah. The Mini was just middling the entire way. Its entire 13 months on the market,
which will make Marco very upset.
Yes, I am so sorry. And then the shuffles, it either rocks or it absolutely sucks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the shuffles started off so strong. First two.
Yeah, I think if the 2nd gen shuffle didn't exist, I think the 4th gen would have been a higher tier
for
because
sure.
We saw,
but in comparison, it's just so much worse. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel pretty good about this. I think. Yeah. Ooh, here's a question. What iPod do you think we were a little meaner to than we expected? Like, is there anything here that's higher or lower than you thought it would be? I think the 4th gen shuffle is lower than I expected. I agree with where we put it, but I kind of expected it to be higher when we started this.
That's probably accurate. Probably the mini maybe were meaner than most would expect. I think we were nicer to the 7th gen Nano than anyone would probably expect. But I'm happy with it on B because it is a solid device for someone that used it, and that was my primary iPod for many years. I enjoyed that guy.
Yeah, nice. Well, I'm happy with this.
This is a good list.
This was less contentious than I was afraid it was going to be. I was really afraid you were going to fight me on the 6th gen Classic. I was really worried about that one.
No, I love that final Classic. It's such a perfect device.
Good. I was also worried you're going to fight me on the 3rd gen Classic because I know it has really big fan base, and I was worried I was in the room with one.
I'm glad we're on the same side of that.
I don't even know what we would do if we disagreed, because one of us would say S tier, one of us would say D. Are we going to put it in B? It's not a B. There's nothing B tier about that. It is either the best or the worst.
Yeah, because it's a very strongly opinionated device.
Yes.
It looks great with the backlight on, but that's not
in a dark
room. In a dark room. Yeah. That's not the primary use of it at all.
Mm-hmm.
But man, is that wheel it's painful to use. Like, it's sharp.
Yeah, it's no good.
No. Well, I think this, we could go on for another hour just talking about iPod things, but I think this is a good place to end the iPod tier holiday special here. So, thank you, Matt, for your time today, going over this very important topic, something that's near and dear to my heart, as you see my collection here.
It's very important work, and I'm glad we're able to do it.
Yes. And I think this is the perfect list. No one would ever disagree with anything.
No one would ever disagree with anything on this list. Absolutely not.
2 shuffles at S tier. No one would ever.
That is a little bold.
They were so good. Yes. But yes. Thank you, Matt. Cool. So now, do you think we can do Alien in 40 minutes? I think so. Maybe.
Oh, yes. I can.
Okay. I think we can. I think 40 is a nice episode length for Vision Pros, and we can do about 40 minutes on Alien.
Yep. Okay. Should I start a new audio recording, I suppose?
Or
do you not?
You can leave it as the same file.
I'll leave it going. Okay.
Yeah.
That'll help with sync, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And let me pull up. I got a note of all your reviews here. Pull up here.
Wow. Brought receipts.
Okay. So we are moving on to Vision Pros. Welcome to Vision Pros, and this is our holiday special. And for this year, our first year with holiday specials, I think. I forget what we did last year. But in this year, I was saying we use the Vision Pro when we're not working to watch stuff. And Alien is a wonderful franchise. It's my favorite film franchise of all time, as we'll talk about. And I thought, let's do a holiday special all about the Alien franchise, the Xenomorphs, the beloved Xenomorphs. And I think we'll have very diverse opinions on this one.
I think we will.
Join us is Matt. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing very well. I'm enjoying the holiday season, and the holiday season's about fighting with loved ones, right? So
absolutely,
I'm ready.
So the Alien series, I was introduced to this high school era for me in a video store. It's like, what's this Alien movie? Bring It Home, and then this was really good. It's like there's more of these, and I was initially confused because I didn't see the S at the end of like. Why do they have this different? Oh, it's a different movie. Oh, S for this. Yeah, that's clever.
One of the most audacious movie titles of all time.
It really is, because like I was confused initially as a high schooler. It's like, oh, that's the sequel. I thought that was the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but and then Alien 3, it's got the little suffix there, and so the thing I love about the Alien franchise overall is that each movie in the original 4 is a different genre in many ways.
Yes.
Like the first one is a suspense thriller. The second one's like a big war action movie. The third one I would classify as kind of a spiritual, finding yourself, awakening kind of movie. And the fourth one is a weird French foreign film. Um,
Sure is.
and then we have and then the other thing I love about this franchise is they're all the first four, like one of the very first films by these legendary directors that would go on to do amazing things like Ridley Scott, James Cameron, David Fincher, Jean-Pierre Jeunet, which is less famous but still very good. I forget his movies, but it's a French director, has done many great things. Yeah, so we'll talk about the other three as well. Romulus came out, and I think we're both fans of that one as well.
Yes.
Let's start with the original Alien, classic. Your review, which you pulled out. Every time I watch Alien, I'm reminded of how pure of a film it is. It's brilliantly made from top to bottom, makes it all look so effortless. The set design really hit me this time with truly iconic imagery at basically every turn. Truly legendary film. It receives your highest ranking of great. And this is a spot on review, Matt. I mean, every time you pull up this movie, it's perfect.
This movie is astounding. It is. There's a certain. I love movies. I love movies. I think they're wonderful. Right? Yeah. They're my favorite form of narrative art. And there's a few select movies that I think are basically perfect. Mm-hmm. Raiders of the Lost Ark comes to mind as a perfect film. It's doing exactly what it wants to do, and it is doing it unbelievably well. Nothing's ever come close. I think Alien is that sort of film as well. It is perfectly. It's mysterious. It's scary.
The pacing is just spot on too.
It's spot on.
In the last 30 minutes, having Sigourney be able to capture attention as like the only one, no dialogue. Mm-hmm. She's just,
Sigourney Weaver is unbelievably good in this. Ridley Scott really showing what he can do as a young director.
And like the visuals of this, like making the eggs feel lifelike with, I think it's Ridley's hand in there and with a glove or something, shotting through like.
And like this came out in 1979. This is 2 years after Star Wars, which is, and like Star Wars is a little gritty, but like, so like sci-fi was very clean and very like, I'm not sure. I don't know. Very clean.
2001 Space Odyssey.
Yes. Yeah. And then like Star Wars was a little grimy, and Alien is just freaking gross. And it starts a little clean, and then it just gets absolutely disgusting. That is horrifying.
For the video version, I've got my quadrilogy Blu-ray box set here.
Nice.
The egg turns on as a little light, and then the Blu-rays come out the butt.
They come out the butt.
Yeah.
That's so good. But Alien, it looks astounding. The practical effects are unbelievable.
Ridley finding Geiger was a masterstroke that, like, without the alien design being what it was, and it just wouldn't have worked. Like,
oh yeah, and like the Alien movies, I think. Oh, don't quote me on this. I think Romulus is the biggest box office for any Alien movie.
That's accurate. Yeah,
which is and it did very well, but like not like blockbuster well. Like it's not like a mega blockbuster. This movie franchise has never been the biggest thing, but like its cultural significance is huge. Everybody knows the Alien.
Yeah, Spaceballs parody.
Absolutely, everybody knows Ridley. Like all of these things are just absolutely iconic, and it's a wonderful movie. I don't have a single bad thing to say about it.
And the retro future tech is just so fun. Jonesy the cat, like I'm not sure who thought about putting a cat in this, but like, yeah, that's great. Like the cat reacting to the alien in different ways. I forgot to mention another thing I love about this franchise is the music. So you had Jerry Goldsmith with the original. You had James Horner with the sequel, Elliot Goldenthal with the third film. in that third soundtrack, it rocks. Like the brass is going heavy. Like so yeah, the music spot on for especially those first three.
Yeah, and
So
shout out to
yeah,
Derek Van Lit, who did the cinematography, which is stunningly beautiful. He's done basically no movies, but he nailed this one. His
yeah,
number 2 credit is Dragon Slayer. I don't even know what that is, but yeah, shout out to this guy who did like 6 feature films, and one of them was Alien.
right,
So great
yeah.
job.
And I wonder, like, yeah, Ridley Scott's got such a visual eye. I wonder what was him versus Ridley. You know,
Yeah,
that.
you never know. It's
You
all
never
a
do.
collaboration. I will say this before we get into the other movies, which I will not be as glowing about.
Sure.
Making movies is so hard. It's a miracle they ever get done at all. Love everybody who's doing it, but yeah, I think they really did a great job in this one.
The other thing about this franchise has a long known tradition of special editions and director's cuts and theatrical cuts. And it's very complicated to find the right version. Some people would disagree on which one's better. For the original Alien, I would say the theatrical cut is the one to watch for sure. There's a slowdown at the end of the director's cut of finding the Captain Dallas cocooned up. And I think it just removes the tension.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, 99 times out of 100, the shorter version of a movie is the better version. I'm very rarely like, oh, the director's
Kingdom
cut
of
is
Heaven,
better.
director's
Kingdom
cut
of
would
Heaven
be the
is the 1
exception.
out of 100. That's the one.
I would say, as we'll talk about aliens, I would say, do we move the aliens? Let's move the aliens.
Let's move to Aliens. Yeah.
Aliens, I would say the director's cut far superior. You get to see the colony before chaos breaks out. It's like as Cameron says, opening that introduction to that, it's like a thrill ride. You get the whole experience. Like it's not abbreviated any, and the pacing is spot on for the 2.5 hour version of that. And yeah, so Aliens, it's a tall task. Like, why would she be in this situation again, right? And that she doesn't want to go. And she goes back to the planet where this all happens, and turns out she was the cause of this from happening in the first place, which is, gotta love Wayland Yutani. I should have worn my shirt for this, but I didn't. I have an alien Wayland Yutani shirt, but anyways, the action is great in this. It's not a scary movie, which I'm not sure if that's a problem or not. Your review of this, which Chris Lawley, your co-host on Comfort Zone, objects to.
He objects to so strongly. I wrote this
so strongly
many months ago, and he will not let it go.
So there are some cool moments in this, and I know a lot of people love it. But for whatever reason, I still just don't feel anything watching this movie. Which that lie, don't feel anything. Like, I do feel adrenaline rushing through me in many moments. I think the first one is terrifying masterpiece, and this feels more like an amusement park ride to me. And that's true. It is a amusement park thrill ride. I do feel a connection with Newt and Ripley, and the extended cut really does make that more of a thing where you have more of an emotional resonance, I would say. But it is a thrill ride, and that the ending with the Queen is just, it's great.
Yeah.
And it's all done in puppets. Like, there's these big puppets that they do all this stuff with. It's phenomenal work they did back then with this.
Yeah, that's the thing about this one, and that's why I gave it a score, putting in quotes. My score was decent, and that
Yes.
I think I need to work on my scoring system in the new year, because I think people read my decent reviews as I hated it.
Yes.
And decent, I totally get why people love this movie. I do. The action is exciting, and the production value is really good. Like, you can see Cameron again, a young iconic director, doing his thing right from the jump, like showing us what he can do. He did that Piranha movie first, but anyway, it doesn't do anything for me. Sorry to Newt, but like, it just doesn't have that little extra something that makes me go, ooh, I really love that. And I wish I knew why. Like,
Yeah,
So,
because there's
some
many moments like them going in the thermal wear place where they can't even see that they're there and they can't use their
mhm.
guns in that building. Like that's just such a good idea as a thing.
Yeah, totally
Um,
decent.
yeah, wow, yeah,
But like, yeah, I mean, it's the ending scene with like the mech like suit that Ridley gets in and
yeah.
everything. Like I always in my head that was always in the first movie, but like the first movie always ends and I'm like, wait, isn't it's over, and then it is in the second
And you
movie.
see her getting more and more confident as these series goes on.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, Sigourney Weaver giving it her all in all of these, and yeah, an iconic actor. Um,
Yes.
and yeah, it's a good movie for sure. I want it on the record. Everyone who's listening, Chris, I'm looking at you. It is a good
Now,
movie, just not my favorite.
is it accurate you watched the theatrical cut the most recent time
I
here?
did watch. Listen, I watch
Yes.
whatever the streaming service plays when I hit play.
So next time, whenever you're doing a next watch,
Hmm.
try to seek out that director's cut. I think it adds a lot of meat and
Okay.
substance to it.
Okay.
That is good to have.
All right. Kingdom of Heaven was Ridley Scott as well, right? So
Yeah, yeah. This is James Cameron this
this is
time.
James Cameron. You're right. You're right.
But
But
yeah,
both of them, kings of the director's cut.
yeah, the Abyss, the director's cut there, much better than the theatrical cut in my mind.
Oh, thank goodness.
Ending is so much, yeah. But anyways, yeah, Aliens, masterpiece, not quite as much of a masterpiece as the original, I would say.
I would agree with
Uh,
that. I would agree with that.
yes,
Again, and it's just I think it's the perspective for me. If the first one wasn't so incredible, in my view, and wasn't I didn't hold like on such a pedestal, I
yeah.
think I'd be more impressed with the second one. But like it just wasn't what I wanted
They did
exactly.
also. The alien becomes less terrifying when you're killing hundreds of them
Yes,
with the guns versus that
yes.
being, yeah.
So
They're like,
yes,
yeah.
on a related note, a similar thing for me is Godzilla movies. If a Godzilla movie has us rooting for Godzilla, I'm out. Like I just for whatever reason, I just do not jive with a movie that wants me to root for Godzilla, or when Godzilla gets knocked down, you're supposed to go, "Aw, Godzilla."
Yeah.
Like I want us to be scared of Godzilla. I want to be terrified of it, and I want to have us trying to kill it. And with Alien, I'm very into one or two aliens. Thousands of aliens don't do as much for me. So that's
Yeah.
just it's
Yeah.
just my personal
No,
thing. I'm working through it, but
it's very fair.
that's me trying to explain myself.
So Alien 3, 1992, David Fincher, another commercial director coming in, would go on do Seven and all sorts of
Fight
Social
Club, Gone
Network,
Girl, Social Network, yeah.
so many ones.
Unbelievable. One of
Great,
my
great, great
favorite
ones.
directors. He's been so good for so long.
Notoriously, Fox mingled and interfered with Fincher and caught. He doesn't speak about this movie because he had such a horrible experience creating it because the studio was a pain in the
This actually makes sense to
yeah.
me.
The studio interfered notoriously bad with this one. They didn't trust this great director,
Yeah, this doesn't
sadly.
feel like a David Fincher movie to me.
Interesting. It is,
Ooh.
yeah. So here's your review here. Woof. This was pretty rough. It's Fincher's first feature film, in my opinion. It's his only real miss. The performances are awkward. A lot of the effects look like placeholders. This is early CGI era. And the whole production just feels off somehow. It'll never happen, but I'd love to see Fincher and the team give this a do-over. So this is like there are some CG shots for the first time in the world or whatever the movie. This is the transition era.
Mm-hmm.
So
1992.
where this movie works for me, the soundtrack is great. The the whole concept of aliens impregnating non-humans is terrifying and awesome to me. How like what if an alien would I would love to see this like zoo alien. Let's go to a zoo. What does an alien look like when it inhabits an elephant? You
Mm.
have this giant, whatever. It takes on some forms of the host, and they did that with the ox or dog, depending on which version you watch. Um, so that concept is cool. Um, the characters I actually love in this one. Like, um, there's so many like personalities that I love the big grandiose speeches they have in this, like with the music being as bombastic as it is. Um, the imagery, like one of my favorite scenes, music and just the imagery of it all, is um, the funeral of Newt and the birth of the alien. Like the music there and the fight, like it's just like Tron Legacy to me is a movie that's like almost like a music video where it's just so beautiful what's going on screen combined with the Daft Punk soundtrack.
Hmm.
In many ways, Alien 3 hits that kind of note for me, where it's like
Okay.
this beautiful thing happening with this great music behind it. And that's some of the moments where it works best for me. Um, and it is nice closure for Sigourney Weaver. She's just given in to death and like, lived with the alien for so long. Like she's like truly embraced that their fates are intertwined and that she's going to go down with the ship,
Yeah.
this one.
Is this the one where she jumps into the lava?
Yes.
Okay.
And you meet the real human behind the android, which we didn't talk about the androids in this universe, but
Oh yeah.
that the ending, I cry at many times watching this ending. Like it just hits. Like the music's going, she's dropping this fire, she's holding the alien in or whatever, or depending
Hmm.
which cut you watch, and um, yeah, it's like a spiritual thing. Like this movie's kind of like a spiritual kind of in they are religious
Hmm.
characters in this one, and I love the doctor, and then 99 or whatever. Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. Tell me why I'm so wrong here.
So it's kind of tough. So I watched this 5 months ago by the looks of this review. I don't remember much of the movie. I definitely remember the the CG is what I remember the most. And I know it's a little
It's
unfair
rough.
because
That part is for sure rough. Yeah.
I think they were aiming too high for what could be done in '97, and
Yeah.
like it made it hard for me to take, or '92, sorry.
Yeah.
It made it a little hard for me to take it as seriously. Um, I just it was I don't even know. So one of the things I really liked about the first movie was like the sets. Like they looked
Hmm.
so like beautifully disgusting in many cases, but like
Yes.
haunting and terrifying, and they looked real.
Hmm.
And I think the production design on Alien 3 it was more clearly like a movie set. It felt like a 90s movie in a way
Hmm.
that I don't isn't always a bad thing, but like it felt more of its time, whereas Alien and Aliens as well felt more timeless to me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Sure.
Again, not always a knock on it, but like there was just something, it just never clicked with me. And like, yeah, there's some corny lines here and there, and it's a little sillier, I think, in some moments than the
Yeah.
first two. Um,
And it's fun because the Corey lines is probably part of what I love about it. Like,
yeah,
because I'm not sure if you're talking about like some of the speeches where they're like, they're
yeah.
just very bold and just like,
Hmm.
yeah. But with the music, to me, like it works. Yeah.
Hmm. So I think it must be like a razor's edge, and like you either it's like it's taking a shot, it's doing something big, and like if it lands for you, then it's awesome. But if you're on just the wrong side of it, it just doesn't land, and I guess it just didn't land for me.
And I have great nostalgia for this because when I discovered Alien, I instantly rented the other two and had a weekend where I watched all three just in this just wonderful kind of marathon session. And yeah,
Oh, man,
yeah,
I wish I liked this one.
I do too. Because like there are definitely people like me that are like hardcore like Alien 3 fans, and like you may not like it the first time, but the more you watch it, the more you like. I think the more you watch Alien 3, the more you appreciate it.
Hmm.
But because of the visceral reaction that most people have with this one is so poor,
It's such
they
a hard
don't
sell, right? It's
they
like,
don't go back and appreciate all of the
yeah,
wonderful.
I know you didn't like it, but if you watch it two or three more times, I bet you'll
Yeah,
like it. Or like, I know
exactly.
you didn't like it, but
Yes.
what if you spend more time watching it? It's a tough
Exactly.
sell. It's a tough sell. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I love yeah, but the characters I really love. They're all I think all well pretty scoped out as the full-bodied like they're all unique personalities that it feels like a ecosystem that feels true like
Hmm.
Super Lieutenant and Dylan and all of them feel like genuine characters, you know. So, Resurrection,
Resurrection.
the weird French foreign film that had some interesting ideas. So your review here, 97 here. The practical and CG alien effects are so much better than the last one. The underwater set piece is pretty good. It is. Definitely watch this one again before I'd ever watch Alien 3 again, sadly. That's a real low bar, though, and I really didn't dig this one. You did not like this in your rating.
Yes.
This is my least favorite of the original four.
Oh.
There are things I like about it. The basketball scene, I'm not sure if you knew this, Matt. Sigourney Weaver actually did that practically and made that shot in the first try when she
Really?
walked it back and threw it back. But it's a shame because it's off. It goes above the camera where you would see that. But it is a real practical thing that she nailed it, which I just love that.
She's
fact.
the GOAT. She's incredible.
She is. She really is. I love the concept of the whole clones and the alien blood inside of her. Her connecting with the alien species in unique ways. That emotional, the scene of her just torching all the clones is heart-wrenching and so well done. The newborn at the very end, as we'll talk about with Romulus, is similar there. Interesting. I'm not sure how well that works, but I think kind of a change from what we've closed these movies out with before.
Yeah.
Some cool characters. I'm trying to think who was in this, but you had some famous people that was like early on in their career.
Yeah, this had Winona Ryder in it,
Yeah.
Ron Perlman. I forget
It
who
was
else.
written by that guy that went on to Avengers. What was that guy's name?
Oh, this was written by Joss Whedon.
Yeah, Joss Whedon.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I did not
it's
know
got a
that.
weird cast of people that worked on this, but yeah, overall, definitely not amazing, but had very interesting ideas. We finally see Earth for the very first time, at least in the director's cut. You see Earth and what it's become, this like horrible planet that's just like we destroyed it, Earth basically. But,
Yeah. I think there were some things to like in this movie. I mentioned the underwater scene in the where they're kind of like going up. I forget what they're going up to, but it's,
yeah, they need to get to the other side of the ship, and it's drowned at this point.
Yeah,
so.
and I think that was a cool set piece.
And the guy in the wheelchair's on the back, and like
yeah, that's right.
Acid's dripping down. Yeah, it's
but like this one, I think is helped by the fact they moved away from the big CG elements. They did still have CG, but it was much better. It was 5 years later, so that helped, of course. But
yeah,
I think it was just there was something. I don't know. There was something that just connected a little bit more with me with this one. I don't really know what it was. I think I kind of like the audacity of like killing Ripley in the third one, and then being like, "We're back. We're bringing her back.
We're bringing her back."
And she's a clone, and she's like, and I
love the audacity of the humans to put the aliens in one single cage.
Yes.
Poor move on their end there.
Yeah, just really. Oh my god. But I guess I kind of liked the concept of her.
Oh yeah, the ticking time bomb is a great idea. Where you have this the character who's a ticking time bomb. He's implanted. He was one of the people that was and the whole idea of them like, let me get some humans and we're gonna implant them, like wild, dark, and a cool idea. And then the time bomb aspect of that one character, he's gonna go off at some point, and the way he does is just. That I thought that was a great scene as well.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I liked it a little bit more because it connected a little bit better with me. Is this the one where you have like the scene with her and like just like this and the alien is like coming right up to her face and like dripping and stuff?
That's 3.
That's 3. Okay. So that's a point for 3.
That's a good scene.
That's an iconic shot.
Good scene. Yes.
So yeah, Resurrection, it's okay. Again, it's so hard for me. I feel like I don't remember anything that happened in these movies, which
lets you watch them again, which is great.
Yeah, I suppose.
If you're like me, I always do marathons of series. Like, let me watch them all. Like, if I'm going to watch Bond, I'm going to end up watching all 20 or whatever, and a month-long viewing.
Ooh, that's a commitment.
Back to back. Yeah, it's an epic. The more there are, the harder it gets.
Yes, Bond is the ultimate there. Man,
It is, yes. Yeah, Prometheus.
Prometheus. You're
This
right.
was such a hyped up movie. Ridley Scott back in the sci-fi world. 2012. I saw this, I think in Hawaii at the time when I was living out there, and I was so hyped for this thing. It was shot in 3D, and it pains me
Yeah.
that there's no. This is Vision Pro's podcast. Fox, Disney, release the 3D version on Disney Plus. You have it. It was released in Blu-ray 3D.
We know you
Let's make
have
it
it.
happen. And it's a beautifully shot movie. This is your review. Still one of my favorite Alien films. I just dig the hell out of this movie. Bonus points to Darius Wolski on this one for absolutely stunning cinematography as well. And this thing is beautiful. The soundtrack is great. As I said with Alien 3, like the visuals and the audio experience is just like top notch. And I love where it goes. I love the characters and the whole their motivations behind like finding their creators and all that. Like it's a cool idea.
It yeah, it is. And you've got the David character introduced.
David is so good. He's one of the best characters
Hmm.
in the whole franchise. Like it pains me that they're not making the third thing of this trilogy because I want to see where David ended up because that's such a cool
Hmm.
character.
Yeah. But yeah, I love David. I love how it's a beautifully shot movie. Um I the set pieces are epic and just Ridley Scott doing his thing, I think.
Yeah, like give
Um
him a big budget and let's just yeah,
yeah,
um,
let him cook.
let him cook.
But I really I like the mystery of this one. I like you're along with the characters on this mysterious planet that you're not supposed to be on,
Yep.
and you don't know what's going to happen. And I'm just genuinely excited when watching this movie, and I'm in there with them. I think the characters are likable. I think it moves along at a good clip. I don't know if there's a director's cut of this, but
There's
I've
not.
okay.
There are fan cuts that put in a lot. There was a lot of promotional material shot for this movie, and they like have
Mm,
this longer cut with that stuff, which is cool. We see Dave. We see Wayland, the OG, his namesake, who is very old in this one. You have a young version as a TED Talk you can watch, which is fun. Um,
yeah. And
I
it's got
love how everything's cleaner and better because this was like the rich people doing this versus
mhm.
like the truckers or whatever.
Yeah. There's the incredibly disgusting scene where
Oh, the C-section scene.
yes.
So good. Like so
Yikes.
tense. I like I grab the armrest every time I see that scene.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
evidently part of that was Naomi the actor. Uh she was like a did like that's her belly like belly that's her doing whatever belly work to do that or whatever.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, crazy, right?
But
Um
yeah, that's there's a they show that device like in one of the first scenes and in one of the intro scenes, Charlize Theron is showing it to them and I'm like, "Oh, that is going to come back." They are
and I
going to
love
use
how
that
it's
back into
like
this
this is
movie.
tuned for male use only, which is weird because
Yes.
it's in her room, but she's probably just, a rich person that doesn't yeah, whatever.
It's a yeah, it's a movie about social status. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's a whole Jesus thing that I guess like the timeline where like there's like yeah, there's
Yeah.
like you can dive deep into like mythology and like people have translated what the alien or what the engineers say. Like it's a
Hmm.
real language, I guess, in a way where they're able to translate it, which is
Yeah.
wild.
There's
Um,
so there's a common thing I see whenever I say I like this movie is people will say the people in this movie are so stupid. They like take their helmet off or they touch things that they obviously shouldn't touch and or shouldn't take their helmets off. They're obviously going to die. And I went in rewatching this a few months ago with that in mind. I was like, I'm going to keep an eye out for that. Like, how
yeah.
stupid are they being? I really don't think they're being that stupid.
No, I mean they tested the air; it's clean. And
Yeah.
they're explorers. They're trying to like
Yeah. So
explore.
like obviously hindsight's 2020. That's why it's
Yeah,
great. But I don't know. I give them some I'll give them some grace on this one, as they say.
yeah.
So
Now the Black U concept of that like being a, I like the Black U stuff, like how it like transforms
mhm.
living things into other, yeah, terrifying things.
Yeah, no, I think this is a good mix of the kind of horror stuff that I really liked in the first Alien, and the bigger action set pieces of the later ones, or of Aliens specifically. For whatever reason, this combination of them works better for me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and
I
it's
really like
trying
this
to
movie.
yeah, it's trying to say something too with like the whole where'd we come from and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And it's cool to see that spaceship in action. You know,
Oh, it's such a cool spaceship too. The
such a cool
horseshoe
ship.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's rad.
no, it
Screw the
rolls
haters.
and
It's a good movie.
yeah, no, it's great. And then the end with the an alien type thing coming out. Not needed, but I like that was kind of there.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then Covenant. Um, uh, so I got thoughts. So this is interesting. It says 2017, Ridley Scott. This is your review. Watching 3 and Resurrection recently have surely lowered my expectations, but I thought this one was very decent. Didn't love it, but didn't hate it. I think Scott has a sense of this franchise that really connects with me. So yeah, decent. I loved how you very much clearly said what decent was in this review.
Yeah, didn't love
Yeah.
it. Didn't hate it. I definitely don't like it as much as Prometheus.
The first half is rad, where they're getting attacked outside and the
Yeah.
spores being a thing that can infect you is rad. Terrifying, the backbursters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm struggling to remember what happened in this one now too. But let's see. So David is in this one too, right?
David is in this one.
Is this
and
the one where
he's
he
got
turns on them?
another, like a clone of himself, or a different model that's less smart, less rethinking.
That's
David
right.
and Walter.
Oh, and this one has like what's his name?
So Daniels, you're talking about?
Danny
And then-
Danny McBride.
Oh yes.
I always forget Danny McBride is in this, and I laugh every time. But he does good. I do like the cast on this one. I do think they do a quite good job.
It pains me that they killed off who's the female lead in the first one? Naomi's character. What's her name? But they kill her off, which I appreciate how they killed her off, but I hate that they had to do it But it makes that David character even more perverse, and like it makes it work, like the way they do it in a way. And David's lab in this movie is just I'm like freeze frame and look all around, like it's so well done, so detailed, and I love that aspect of it. Let's see what else. The scene with David and Walter with the flute is just somewhat it's compelling. It's weird but good. Like Fassbender is so good in these movies.
Yeah, he really is. So where does this one stand for you? Do you like is this
I like this
on the better side?
It's on the better side.
Okay.
Yeah, because I especially love the David stuff, and I love the backbursters, and it's just terrifying that opening part, which I love, and then the whole showing David at work creating these different aliens, and like that stuff all works for me really well with him playing out the goo and making the different eggs and stuff. Like, yeah, this is on the better side of things for me. I just pains me they didn't make the third, because I think the third would have been just like a perfect like capper to finish the David story.
Yeah, have they said they're not making another one in this?
Basically, yeah, because
Like-
like it just wasn't box office enough of a success, I guess. And like
Gotcha.
I don't know if they'll fill in the gaps of what happened there in future movies with just backstory stuff, or if Yeah, it seems like the time has passed for that to be happening.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Like Fassbender moving on or whatever. But yeah, but we got Romulus, which is a classic.
We do have Romulus.
Um, yeah, any other thoughts on Covenant?
No, it's decent.
Yeah, it's decent. I love where it ends, where he's got the whole colony that he's commandeered the whole ship of and has like all these humans to test on.
Would
Yeah,
love to see what happens
would love
next.
to see what happens with that. I mean, make an anime or something out of that, I guess. I don't know.
Seriously.
Yeah, be cool. So then we get Romulus this year, Fede Alvarez, and because he was doing this, I watched his other movies and very impressed with this guy. He's got a future ahead of him, I would say, in the horror movie genre. So your review, I'll tell you what, it is nice to watch another good alien movie. Extra points to having a genuinely creepy thing at the end. You liked it, and we will spoil this one. It's newer, but we will spoil this one. Um, I really love this movie. Like the opening at that colony was just perfect. How like her time's done. Oh, we need you. Well, we're just gonna add more time. You're kind of basically a slave here to the corporation. Incorporation of all the retro future tech, perfect. And just the ramp up is just great in this. Like it's perfect pacing throughout, pretty much.
Yeah. I like you said with the first four, where everyone is a different style. I feel like this is a different style as well, with all new characters, all new setting, different. Like they aren't on an alien thing at the start. They're on this. Like you said, they're doing this like basically slave labor.
Yeah,
you'll earn your freedom one day. Sure, you will.
Sure, you will. Yeah.
And then she's with this like little ragtag group of friends that has this crazy get off the planet scheme. And
yeah, they're just trying to get away from this horrible place that their parents all got killed.
Yeah, and you're rooting for them. Like I think they do a good job of making them relatable. And
you have some racism in the movie, which
of course,
is, towards the androids, which is I mean, it's well done. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. And then they get on the ship, and then things start to happen. Alien things start to happen.
Yes.
But I really enjoyed this one. I thought this was the most I've enjoyed an alien movie maybe since the first one. I really enjoyed the set pieces here, which unlike like Prometheus had like really big set pieces.
Yeah.
Like with massive ships like crashing into the everything. But like this was smaller scale, and like we need to go through this long hallway and be absolutely silent. Or we need to like
we need to shoot all these aliens with the anti-gravity going so it doesn't go through the ship's hull. It's like, it's so the blood, smart. You get
alien blood
navigate through the blood and not have it hit you, and like man, so good.
And then at the end they showed me something genuinely disturbing, and I respect them for it.
So the Alien franchise, it's about many things, but one of the things it's about, it's about how childbirth is kind of horrible in a way, right? Like, it's sort of about rape in some ways too, with the alien kind of impregnating you.
Sure.
Yeah, so in this movie, they're like, this is the horrors of an unwanted whatever. Well, in this one was a real pregnancy that goes awry when you get injected with the black goo.
Yeah.
And you give birth, a human gives birth to an alien naturally, sort of.
Yeah, that looks like but like it looks like a human, but with like these incredibly long limbs that are real creepy, and
then the alien has this like the little mouth thing and is breastfeeding from the mother, which kills her presumably in that process of.
She does not make it out of this.
Yeah, I guess you probably get acid going through your breasts.
It's not good. It's not good.
But that's so disturbing to see, like the child of this person like breastfeeding, and it's like
it's horrifying.
God. It's horrifying, right?
Yeah. It will not leave.
And like with Alien Resurrection, like the newborn, like it's like in Alien Resurrection, it felt like the newborn connected more with Sigourney as its mother.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if it's there from a biological standpoint where she goes to or the alien goes to breastfeed there, but I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's basically that it was more sad when Sigourney killed her daughter or whatever,
Hmm.
her alien daughter. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a blast with this one. I thought it was very well made in every regard. And
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. The cocoon. We finally got to see, like, how does an alien get so big so quickly? And we find,
Mm,
the cocoon of the alien gestating very quickly at the very beginning. And that was so cool to see. Like, I wondered that. And it's like, oh,
yeah.
that's how they cocoon up. And that's when they're growing. And yeah, that was so cool to see.
Yeah. I'm so happy this movie got made and
A
was
sequel has
good.
been greenlit too. I'm excited.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bring
It's great.
So yes, I'm
Yeah.
glad we got to agree again. we
Yes.
we diverged for a little bit, but we've
Mhm.
come back.
Yeah. Romulus. Yeah. Go watch it. Yeah. We've spoiled it, but you should still watch it. And yeah, the director definitely paid homage to Alien and Aliens in this movie. Like, there's moments where this is more of an Aliens, where there's a bunch of them, and kind of the first half of the movie, I'd say, is Alien homage, then kind of shifts to Aliens in many ways.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
but
yeah.
never got to like a swarm of aliens in the same
No.
way. I mean, there were. I mean, I forgot. Maybe there were technically a swarm, but there were. It never
Yeah,
felt. It felt more of an intimate movie
for sure.
than Aliens. It didn't feel like I was in a war. It felt like I was with a couple people trying to survive, and
Hmm.
that.
And they didn't have a bunch of. They had one gun basically, and once that was
Mhm.
spent, they were done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's like it's not the most complicated thing in the world, but I really loved the moment you mentioned earlier where they're in that like they're climbing and they're in they have to like activate the zero gravity so that
Yeah.
the blood they can kill it without the blood seeping through the or acid like breaking
Yeah, and
through.
then there's a shut off every so often that's like, oh, we gotta
It's
get the hell
just
out of here. Yeah.
it's a very good movie making. It's not
Oh, yeah, and then
revolutionary, but like it's so good.
the android is like out to make the alien succeed too, which
Yeah.
is yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It was. Yeah. It's kind of like one of those the paperclip. If you like make a robot or an AI that wants to just make paper clips, it'll optimize to destroy the entire world so they can make more
Yeah.
paper clips.
And the
It's like,
Andy character, so good. This is one of the best androids out there. Like with the chip where he changes like from the
oh yeah,
innocent
yeah,
boy
yeah.
to and like trying the logic with him to take the chip out
Hmm.
and like so well performing and what he's yeah,
Yeah.
Andy was a highlight of that movie for sure.
Yeah. Really good stuff. Yeah. That's David Johnson. He was in a movie called Rye Lane last
Okay.
year. It's another filmmaker's debut film. Really
Yeah.
good. Just had to shout it
I'll have to
out.
check it out. Yeah. Because, yeah, stellar performances all around. Um, yeah, I love the little x ray device they have to see the alien
Mm-hmm.
inside. They didn't use that a bunch, but um, yeah. And kind of cool them capturing the original alien from Alien. And like, you see what, so now we know when you shoot an alien into space, it cocoons itself, and eventually, if it reaches someplace, it can live again, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a
Yeah.
wild concept. So, like, potentially a lot of aliens are just out there. Like, the queen alien is still out there, maybe, or I forget what happened. Like, they suck a lot of aliens outside, and maybe there's some others cocooned up. Yeah.
We'll find out next time.
We'll find out next time. Well, those are all the alien movies that exist. I can't think of any others. The Predator ones are not real alien
No, I've never
movies.
heard of those. Those don't
No,
exist.
those don't exist. I refuse to acknowledge their existence in the timeline.
I'm glad we didn't want to talk about those. I haven't watched those since the mid 2000s when they were
They
coming out, and
are
I
so
do not have
bad.
good memories of
They're
those.
so bad. So bad. It's such a shame. Like, yeah, not good.
Rough.
Very rough. I think Prey, the Xenomorph is in that movie briefly, or am I thinking Predator? It wasn't the original Predator, I think, as a trophy or something.
Okay.
So there was some like crossover there, which
Okay.
is well done for that. But
Prey is a good
full
movie,
out
but yeah.
AVP, yeah, Prey's great. But yeah, anyways, thank you, Matt, for joining me for this fun, somewhat contentious at times discussion on Alien.
I think we were very civil.
We were. If Chris was here, it would be an explicit show, I think. Yeah.
Oh yes, get the explicit tag ready. He's would not be happy.
Yeah, but it's my favorite franchise of all time. 'Cause each movie does something just different. Like it's not like they're not remaking the same movie over and over again, even though there's many shared endings and plots. But each one has a different genre within the same kind of framework, which I just I appreciate how that's done. And H.R. Geiger, what a brilliant, dark, devious mind to come up with these designs. Rest in peace. Well, with that, where can folks follow you online and check out your awesome videos and the podcast?
Oh boy. Okay. Best places to find me today. My blog, birchtree.me, is where I post most of the things that I do. I also have a YouTube channel called A Better Computer, where I talk about tech stuff. And I have a podcast called Comfort Zone with Christopher Lawley and Neilian. It's a Mac Stories show where we talk about tech that takes us out of our comfort zone. And all those are great.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Matt, for your time recording these holiday specials. If you're just listening to the Vision Pros, we also recorded an iPad Pros special all about the iPod, and we did a tier ranking, and it's the correct ranking that
we nailed it.
Should give to the ATP people to have them.
Everyone's iPod tier list is correct.
Absolutely. So go over to iPad Pros to listen to that holiday special when that comes out as well. So yeah, thank you again, Matt, for your time. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.